Beware the sin that so easily entangles. Most of us know the story of David and Bathsheba, a story of sin, of lust, and of murder. The story starts like this. In the spring, when kings march out to war, David remained in Jerusalem. One evening, after taking a nap, David got up from his bed and strolled around the roof of the palace. Nothing wrong there. An evening stroll is an excellent idea. But he does seem idle, with nothing pressing. It seems he's alone, and being alone for long periods of time is not good. During this time of COVID-19, some of us are finding ourselves without clear purpose, and perhaps alone. So David, who is a man after God's own heart, sees Bathsheba. He notices a woman bathing and that she is beautiful. He looked, he lingered, and David allows himself to be tempted. David has not been wise and he is tempted. But we're not condemned for being tempted. Jesus was tempted in the desert. But when we are tempted, we need to decide, are we going to follow God's path or are we going to sin? David, spurred on by lust, inquires about the woman, and he is clearly told that she is the daughter of Eliam, wife of Uriah the Hittite. From this point on, David's actions are going to affect his life right up until the day he dies. David knows God's law, but he's choosing to ignore it. He's choosing to ignore those laws set in place to prevent him from being hurt. He sends messengers to get Bathsheba. She comes to him and he sleeps with her. What is David thinking? He isn't thinking, he's being led by his desire. When David is tempted, he should run like Joseph ran from Potiphar's wife. When he hears the name Uriah the Hittite, he should remember that Uriah is his faithful soldier. And when he hears that Bathsheba is the daughter of Eliam, he should remember she is the granddaughter of his favourite counselor. David should count the cost of his intended sin, but he is thoughtless. I wonder how often we don't think. Charles Spurgeon once wrote, God does not allow his children to sin successfully. And David's sin leads him down a path of murder, betrayal, and finally death of his son. But I could never sin like that. I'm not capable of such enormous sin. Look, just because I don't live in a palace, I don't have the authority of a king, and I don't have an army at my command, doesn't mean that I am not capable of sinning like David. We tend to think, I could never. And the minute we think that, we discover that we are more capable of sinning than we ever thought possible. How suddenly any of us can fall. Be warned, that sin we've been able to commit because we're alone and nobody's looking at the moment. That sin we committed because we have extra idle time on our hands. Where is that sin going to lead? Maybe it won't lead to pregnancy because social distancing. But perhaps we're not honouring God during this time of shut-in. Perhaps we're looking at stuff we shouldn't. Perhaps we are turning our thoughts to unholy places. Remember, we need to be dwelling on whatever is good, whatever is holy, and whatever is righteous. Maybe we're just caught up in a negative thought pattern. Perhaps we need to review what is attracting our attention. Perhaps we need to be aware that we are even sinning. What if we're already very aware of our sin? Look to Jesus for forgiveness. Read Psalm 51, which David wrote when his sin, which led to such crazy consequences, had been brought to the forefront of his awareness. Bring your broken and humble heart to God for him to heal. And if you are just at that temptation stage, Ask the Lord to lead you away from temptation and back onto a path of righteousness. May God be with you.